sit on the table.
Oh, okay.
You're expecting two commissioners, maybe three. Test.
Yeah, that one's yours. So the other ones, if they don't come, I gotta take them back because I'm sure they're gonna probably want to pick them up on Monday.
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Whoever the shoe is, 'cause a lot bigger.
I'm just on my own notes. I'll leave that right there. All right, let's get started. It's a little after, no, it's not a little after 4, it's a little after 5. And we're having our second work session for the wireless telecommunication facility. And then also, I think we dropped the sign. And it's also for the PNZ.
Correct.
Yeah. So I wonder if it's a better approach to go back to, did we finish the PNZ? Is everyone pretty complete with the PNZ? The only thing I can think of is, I don't know if we got an answer about, the question I had is the alternates. How long can they be an alternate?
For a year.
Just a year.
And
then they can reapply.
they can reapply.
Okay, good. Well, that's really all I had on that one. If we're complete with it, we got to go to the long one. Good question.
It wouldn't be worth it if, to be an alternate for a year and then,
And not be able to really, yeah.
then thank you for your service.
Service,
And then you
yeah.
work that hard and you
Yeah.
can't reapply.
And
If you
maybe,
show up, you should.
Yeah.
and maybe you can go to the training that's coming up.
I'm pretty
Which
sure
is
it'll be
highly
a
recommended.
good, I don't even, because they're gonna be going to the trainings and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so to choose the new person over, an
Yeah.
alternate will be, you will have to do a pretty bad job. And not show up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, for the sense of, I think,
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they would give me this person.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, hopefully.
again, it's possible, but.
Yeah.
Providing they.
We don't know.
It's at the discretion of
The mayor. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, before we get started, I was inviting Dasha here because Dasha and one other member there. Two.
Andrea, not me.
Oh, you were not. It was the advisory meeting, or it's ad hoc group committee that the mayor asked to cut issue. And Tasha has a lot of information about that. I did send the information you sent me about the whole backup information for context, but I only got it out this morning. I don't know if you saw it. And so we need more time to kind of look at that, but she's going to give us a briefing about that. So we can hopefully, so I think we should start there.
Yeah. Is there an extra printed copy?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
just I think you brought your own, right? Like, can you,
I brought my old one.
yeah, because nothing really changed on it. So this girl, you can either let her borrow yours or give her another.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
There you go.
Actually, I don't remember what page we were on.
Oh, so
Did you
yours
mark
is
it?
That's what we got today, but it's different than what I brought from our last meeting. Because
Oh,
this
no.
is like 52 pages and that's much shorter.
Well, because
so-
it's front and back.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So is this.
That one.
Yeah.
Is
Double sided.
double sided.
well, this
So
one-
is this.
This one is too.
Yeah, that's why they're small.
How many pages?
But the original one that we got was double page
No,
sided.
the other one was only single
This
sided.
is
No.
20.
I've got my original one.
I have my original ones here.
53 pages on the original.
Fif-
That's how
52
it's supposed to be.
pages.
Somebody's supposed to be on here. The printer was the one that, I bought it.
Should be 52.
I thought it was
Yeah.
because it was double sided.
52 and then with the sides.
So I guess the question is, does that change from what we have?
Well, it
You
has
know
to
what?
because it's half
I
the
know.
size.
I think this is the original Messia ordinance. This is the existing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Oh, this is
That
the
makes
one
sense.
We
with
got-
red, which was the ordinance edits, and then blue.
This one
has
has
Yeah,
blue.
okay, whereas this is what we have
That's the scribble
now.
we got now. Okay, thanks.
So that's what we're going on right now, right?
Oh,
That's the
sorry.
most current one?
This is.
Yeah, yeah.
No. Yeah, this is the old ordinance.
Yeah.
That's no good, right?
That's,
I mean, for you.
well, yeah.
Do you have, because I have another one right here. The original.
But we.
No, that's
You don't
new,
want-
that's new.
With the
Yeah, not
edits.
the original,
With the
the,
edits.
The
Oh,
other
okay.
original.
All right, now we're ready to go.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead,
you.
you're,
Yeah, so thanks for this opportunity. I wanted to explain a little bit how this was arrived at.
Mm.
And so we took our existing ordinance and all of that copy is in black. Our existing ordinance came to about, I don't know, what is it, like 20 years old with some updates?
I don't remember.
Yeah. And so since then, the terminology has changed dramatically and the technology has changed dramatically,
Yes.
as has the legal language and FCC
That's-
rules.
Yep.
And so the ordinance that we went to as a model is Langley, Washington, which is a small town, about 1,600 people. And they work with an attorney whose name I can never say, you know his name, Campanelli?
Campanelli.
Yeah, Campanelli. And so they came up with an ironclad ordinance that they were able to stave off a cell tower they didn't want in their town. And he's like one of the top cell tower attorneys in the nation.
Yeah.
And so we took their ordinance, which is ironclad, but it was town of Langley specific and Washington specific. So we tried to catch as much of that as we could
Mhm.
and deleted, anything that said Langley and Washington and refer to their other ordinances. But there still may be some residual
Yeah, I did.
language that's not New Mexico specific or
even-
not Messia specific. So that's what we're looking for. Other than that, the blue copy is pretty much set in stone because it worked and it's using the proper terminology.
The industry terminology.
Industry
Yeah, right,
terminology,
right. The current,
the
Right.
current one.
Yeah.
And,
You can just shoot 1 minute, right? Let me get my copy, I left it on my desk.
Okay.
okay,
Like the term
And-
shot clock period.
Yeah.
New, right?
yeah, that's new. So all of these are sections that we added at the end. And so the industry terminology, I think, is confusing by design. And we actually went through the exact same thing that you guys were going through last time where this doesn't make sense, we'll change
Yeah.
that word. And what we did is we ended up Googling a lot until we found an explanation in plain English. Like, what does it mean when it comes to cell towers?
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
so yeah, anything in red is that our group, those are our own comments that we added
Right.
to the original. And anything that we crossed out is
Right.
just crossed out.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, well, we have over 100 hours into this, well over.
Yes, thank you for that.
So, well, thank you for working with us on this. This is great.
You know, the first time I heard about the shot clock was actually the cell tower that we're addressing that hadn't been
Oh,
installed.
right.
That was the first time we heard about
Yeah.
shot clock.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in our code, but that's when
Right,
we learned about it.
yeah. So whenever the ordinance, like our ordinance and their ordinance was, address the same topics, we preferred the blue ordinance, I'm just gonna call it blue,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's more explicit.
Mhm.
It's more detailed, it's with up-to-date terminology, et cetera. So that's what happened there. There may be some repetition where, we simply didn't know which was better because we're not lawyers, we're not WTF experts.
Experts, right.
So, so I'm happy to make clarifications or explain anything that
it might come up.
Doesn't make
Questions.
sense to the best of my ability. There are other people that may have answers,
Right.
but is there anything so far that I can clarify or that doesn't make sense?
Joshua, if I can ask, so the blue, which is the new copy, does it, besides the red, edits, does it collide with our existing ordinance in any
That's
way?
what I'm kind of interested in.
In some places, yes.
Mm,
The one place where we preferred our existing ordinance is when it came to historic
Right.
mm,
zones, because Langley
Usage,
doesn't
yeah.
have that. But most places, yeah, I think it's just a 20-year difference in industry development. That's the difference. I don't know if there's any direct.
I just don't want
Yeah.
to, you know,
Implications. Yeah.
be pushed against current ordinance or current code so that we're not contradicting ourselves. We want to have the edits with the technology and the language.
The areas we were focusing on ended up being the same areas that Eddie pointed out when he first started talking about it, and that was like increasing the setback or addressing the
So
setback.
that's a big
Yeah,
Also, making the applicant responsible for paying our costs.
Yeah.
Like if you guys wanna hire your own consultant
They-
firms,
They,
they pay for it.
Yeah,
and that's pretty clear in here.
There's
Yeah.
lots.
That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're just adding, we're not subtracting.
we are subtracting.
In the red?
Red is adding, that's us.
is
Subtracting is the cross out, right?
Subtracting is a cross out.
cross out.
Yeah, so we try to make, in the goals, we try to make the
And that was pretty
language
minimal.
stronger.
Yeah, this one, alternative tower structure on page 12. That's completely structured.
Yeah, because we thought this was, Like-
Stealth technology.
now they call it stealth technology.
Oh, God.
That refers to small
Oh, my God.
cells.
Oh, right.
Wow. So it minimizes adverse, it's like, so we're kind of looking for smaller towers in the future, correct? Is that what that's?
That's where
At
the
least they have an
industry
option. It's
is
going.
headed, yeah. And also the small cells are getting much smaller. So like what's an MSU, they're kind of
Yeah.
you know,
I've seen those.
clunky, but now they make them about half that size.
But the range is different. They have to have more of them, correct?
Yes.
I know they have to have more of them for 5G. If you have 4G, it expands much more out in the area. 5G, you know, he said on the lawyer, when you
Yeah.
saw the video, he says, as long as you've already started with 4G,
Mhm.
they can't come back and say, okay, we want to have much more of them and then we're going to go to 5G.
Yeah.
Because we're really addressing 4G because I think that's what we need.
But we're-
That's what we have.
But when
Where
will
are
we
we
get to
going?
12G?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the whole comment was,
We have to prepare for the future, right?
well,
Well, that's.
This week, I didn't mean to interrupt, but this week I
Yeah.
actually had, just, I don't know if it was meant to be or not, but actually had a meeting with one of the representatives for a internet company
okay.
that wants to put in fiber optics.
Oh,
Right, and they're actually, they're from the East Coast somewhere.
Mhm.
And I thought like, okay, well, fiber optics, that way I had internet and mobile
Yeah.
phones
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And they talk about what their equipment, their new technology they have,
Yeah.
small cell towers, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, I mean, this is just not coincidental, right? So I did have a meeting with them. They actually, not just with me, actually, Gus Cruces was the one that recommended them to talk to us.
Oh.
But yeah, they talked to all the agencies throughout the year, Summit Park, and I was one of the last ones. And one of the things that came to my mind, you know, we're looking at, as you all talking just now, about technology and new changes, right? It's like now most internet suppliers are going to cell phones, the texting and stuff. So if they have fiber optics
Right.
that are going underground,
Right.
and they have phone calls capabilities for you to make calls on your phone, why do you need towers?
Oh,
Right,
So we
so
have-
again, I thought that was pretty interesting, and I did
Yeah.
talk to the mayor about it, so we're definitely gonna be calling them
Yeah.
up again to see what.
Yeah.
What are the options? It's not that we're gonna do it, but they will put they wanna put all the, infrastructure in,
mhm.
you know, obviously get permits through the right of ways and
Yeah,
such,
sure.
you know, so all the fiber optic can be in place, out of their pocket, right, and then be able,
Yeah,
if they
we
have,
pay.
and they say, do you think you'll have enough business, you know, for people who are watching? We already, that's what we're talking, because we already did
Yeah.
the research and
Yeah.
people are interested,
Right.
and if they wanna do that, I think fiber optics is the max right now. I mean, fiber
Oh.
optics is where we wanna be at, so,
Is the
I
go.
thought it was kinda, speaking with, you know.
So then we need a fiber optics ordinance.
Not yet.
Now we need a fiber optics.
Not yet.
No, fiber optics
That's
is,
the frustration about doing this now.
it's just weird even looking at it.
Yeah.
It looks just like, information going through the cable, and it's really
Yeah.
sweet, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I
Good
think,
for you.
I think it's a very good, put
Future.
together ordinance, I think.
That'll take a while,
In that
right.
sense. I think we can include some things, like I mentioned before, not just with cell towers, I think our special use needs revamp as well.
Mm.
I don't think they should be given out as a lifetime, I think they need to have an expiration date on them.
Mm.
Yes.
Two is I think there should be something in writing that says, any violations or repetitive violations of your permit, you know, it could be revoked, how many, you know what I mean? At least come, to a hearing or some sort, so you see if you can keep it or not, but. And also fees, I told the mayor, I think special use permits are great opportunities to do business in certain areas, but once you pay the processing fee of $310, your permit's free for the rest of, it's not a business license.
Ought to be renewable.
It has to somehow be renewed, right?
Yeah.
So I think the cell towers, I think definitely, something to include with that, and I think maybe they hold it, I mean, the permit's gonna be for 5 years or whatever, I don't think a year would be sufficient for somebody to invest that much money.
Oh, right, right.
And then after that, if Tommy Lucia decides that he doesn't want to renovate or renew the permit, then it's just gonna be legal bylaw, I'm assuming, but they have that option. You don't want to be forever, or for a special person. You know, sometimes the property itself, is gonna sell it or somebody else, they would have to come back.
But there is the language in here about different processes.
Yeah,
So we're
Yeah.
kind of covered in that regard.
and there are whole sections about dismantling.
Yep.
old
Yeah, that's good.
towers.
That's very good.
And the bond money used to if they
Yeah.
don't.
They do.
Yeah.
They have that, they have that.
Yeah.
You know,
Which is good.
it's a surety bond.
And so, you know, obviously this is gonna be vetted by the town of Mesilla lawyers, et cetera.
Right.
But like one of our wish list things was that they pay like a 25% fee of
Is
the
that what it
cost
says
of
here,
the tower.
25%?
Huh?
I think we talked about 15, but does it say 25?
We changed it to 25, wishful
It's
thinking.
fine. Maybe, never know.
Maybe, yeah.
Because you're gonna get it back. It's not like 25% we're gonna keep it.
Yeah.
If we use whatever, you know, funds you give us and then whatever we don't use, we go back. So it's not like, again, it's a fee, it's
It's
just.
an open bank account.
These are like $10 billion companies, you know?
They're not.
I have a couple
Yeah.
things, because
Yeah.
I did want to go back to your comment about
Right.
preparing for the future. So is the idea of regulating this to make it harder, or to just be like, okay, if somebody wants to come in, here are all the things you have to meet, or is it purposely like this to make it harder?
I think it's,
So-
my impression is, in looking at some of that video that you sent me and reading about Langley, I think it's purposeful to make it harder
Okay.
for them.
So,
I'm just asking that question
Yeah.
because, right, the comprehensive plan's being done, right? And it did
Right.
mention something about additional housing, right? So I'm trying to think, and like no biases and being open-minded,
Right.
is like if there's gonna be new housing built and like more people coming to Mesilla, is that gonna be a hindrance of any kind when it comes to like that? And if we're talking about fiber optics, right, and the potential of like, I don't know, cellular devices or anything like that, like you get what I'm trying to say? Like I know that there needs to be regulating, and because of the fact like when this I guess was proposed or like the
Yeah,
it like
right.
caused a lot of stir because there was not any public input, right? So
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand like, is this going to be harder? Is this going to benefit? Is this going to like actually hinder like whatever comes out of the conference?
So, Yeah, going back to the history, I'm one of the people that I'm 300 feet from from the proposed cell tower. Nobody should have to live 300 feet from a cell tower. That's just, there are physicians' reports, environmental studies,
And visual,
and visual
Visual.
character of the town.
Right.
It's just, that's what motivated us. And during one of the hearings, Mr. Chapman from Sun State, he threatened that if we didn't let him do the monopine, which would let him have 5 co-locations, we went to the water tower model, which limited him to 2 co-locations. And he just threw out there, well, we'll just build a cell tower right next to it, another one right next to it. So we were like, whoa, no.
yeah.
And so this is to protect the town. I don't think it should limit us. We're
Future.
not against the technology, we're just against
It's
it
how it's
being
delivered.
next door to you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to
Yeah.
ask to like not like offend anybody or like
Right.
not take into consideration like public opinion, right? I'm just trying to think
Well, if it's a need,
for
it's a need.
future wise.
But they have to show that it's a need. They don't have a great track record of being
Right.
very honest with their, their drive testing they did. Didn't it range from like 16% accuracy at best, 64% accuracy. So,
And some of them, they don't even do
Do
it drive, they do it electronically.
Yeah.
And they can
Yeah.
change, when you saw that video, they can change any of the numbers. And so it's like, they can show that it's needed. They can show the coverage area, but they need to do the drive-by, and that we
Because,
did,
when-
a little bit of that.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
did that. Because when they first said they found a pecan grower that
Right.
was willing to put it in the orchard, I
Right.
just thought that's the coolest thing
Yeah.
and the best compromise ever. And all they did was gave an address of like 2,800 or
Which is
something, and
huge.
nobody knew
Exactly.
where that was
Right.
until they put the crane up, and that's when we realized it was right at the end of Estrada Road. And it's
Where you
like
can see it
nobody
Driving
thought
down the
that
road.
was going to be the case.
Yeah.
That's what
And that just kind of like cheating, It's like,
Yeah.
we didn't know.
And all their experts that they hired, they chose the experts and all the studies were in their favor. We were all watching out of our windows as, this girl drives up, she got out of the car, she went like this, then she got back in the car, and then she wrote an environmental study report. And so if the town got to choose that vendor,
Mm.
and that vendor is responsible to you, then you get different data, I bet you.
Okay,
It's not compromised data, right?
Not compromised data, yeah.
And I did bring up in the last meeting, and I talked to Eddie again about it, is I think we need to go back to because I think it is the best place. Oh, it's.
You have a specific.
No, not specific.
Oh.
It's the fact that if you go to the code for the rural farm, it says no commercial other than related to agriculture. And I suggested that we need to go back to that. Just have a little blurb in there and say, with this exception, because cell phone towers, any kind of process that contacts the people in the village, in the town, it's kind of necessary for safety and what have you. So, and that's kind of in one part of our code too. So I just suggested that we go back to we don't have to do it now, but I just suggest that we need to, so there's not a contradiction between that, because that's where they're gonna go. That's where we want them to go.
Yeah. The thing is to have the town be in the driver's seat,
Exactly.
not the applicant.
Right, exactly.
And they have the FCC rules supporting them and trying to overrule small towns. So that's why we have to be so ready
Yeah.
that we can defend.
And that's why there is this added pages for the,
Thank you for the
Yeah,
clarification.
yeah,
I just wanted
yeah,
to make sure.
yeah,
Because I'm like,
no,
okay, I'm
that's
trying to
good.
take my own thing out of it and just kind
Yeah,
of see it
good
for what it
question.
is. So,
Yeah, like the balloon test is
Yeah.
taken out all over because that's not done anymore.
yes,
Yeah.
but
that's
it
right.
wasn't crossed out on that page. What page is that? There was a
Oh.
couple areas where it wasn't crossed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, that's
possible.
pretty,
I think
And
that's,
I'm happy to do
it's
the edits for
page
you
18.
guys if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, we can see how much changes we got. So far, I haven't seen anything. So I'm just-
yeah, on page 18, you did it was crossed out for a height model, site location on number 2, but it said or balloon test. So one of them was crossed out, but
Yeah.
you go down to the next paragraph and it's still in.
Oh.
I mean, it's,
Small stuff.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think might make sense as much as anything, because I'm thinking the blue is kind of out of our bailiwick.
that's,
If we could go through the red and the crossed out stuff, because that might be easier to look back at the changes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Can I ask Lori, what is a bailiwick?
Your expertise.
Oh, thank you very much.
yeah, I did have
I've never heard
another,
that term before.
this is on page,
Midwest term, huh?
on page 10, under crossed out item I think it was I, yeah. I'm a little confused about the definition of personal
Mm.
towers
Oh, yeah,
versus
yeah.
private. Because it really gets confusing when you read into some of the,
so
my,
we
my
brought that up
read-
last time.
yeah, my reading in the private is, or even the.
Oh,
there's-
here
there's-
it is.
yeah.
I couldn't find
That's
what you
where I
were
was-
talking about.
So in some places, and I have to go back and look at,
That should be in the definitions.
So personal, we researched that, and personal means where the end user is a person. So the word
Oh.
user means
the
the
company,
cell phone company.
right?
Okay.
The provider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
provider. Personal means the end consumer is a person, and commercial means it's for like a TV station or radio station or some other larger commercial use. So they're all commercial
You know,
use, but
it's in the definitions.
Is it?
okay. I don't know why they put in the private. That's our language.
You're
So
right.
Yeah.
I would
Dark.
just take that out because
Okay.
that is confusing.
And another part, and I'm trying to find it.
Is this the definition section?
It's on page 10, yeah.
Yeah, page 10.
Yeah, it's
L.
on page 10, but if it's the definition
Or
section, if you take that out, then obviously they put it in the definition section because it's mentioned elsewhere in the ordinance, right?
Oh, in the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm
They,
worried about.
in
You
the
mean just the
blue,
word private.
Yeah.
in the blue, they only use the word personal,
also
right?
just
Not
scratch out the.
the private. Yeah,
Okay.
private, I think is outdated language.
Well, yeah, it almost clues you in that it's
But
in
it does
parentheses.
help, because that's kind of
Yeah.
what the
I
word I
know, it
would
makes you
use.
think it's the same.
It's in parentheses, like it's not, it's just like an addendum or like another explanation of that term.
Yeah, maybe because like you mentioned, it's already in our.
You know, person to person.
Yeah, yeah, so the word private should be
Private.
crossed out.
And I think I talked to you about it, and I talked to Eddie, and I think I mentioned it last time, is if you look at the definitions, it doesn't describe user. And I think it's really important
Oh,
to
yeah,
describe
that's
that
what
because the user pays for all this, all this work we're asking for. So
Yes, I
it need-
definitely think
that
user
needs
should
to
be
be
added
added
to
in
the
there.
definition.
I did notice that.
Okay.
The definitions which ends on
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
13.
Yeah. And the other, getting back to the comment about commercial, as long as you make that note in the RF, allowing this in the RF, that the commercial language, using the word commercial in here, makes a distinction between, let me see if I can see that. Well, on page 10, I wonder if that's the right. It's intended to read blah, 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 purpose of radio communication. Oh, without the intent of commercial services. See that? It's in black.
Oh, okay.
Personal and private, it's the same place. It says without, so it's non-commercial for, I guess, that's what I was trying to figure out. Is it non-commercial for the private or is it non-commercial? Because personal towers is commercial.
So what about this? This stuff. I think L and the paragraph below it
Below.
are one and the same thing. So what if we just took out
Or
our
Black.
language and kept the
the blue.
So with the personal, private, meaning and freestanding, off that whole paragraph goes and is replaced by the blue below.
By the
That's what I'm
personal
thinking.
wireless service facility.
I don't know what you guys think.
What page was that?
So
Page
it's
10 in just below the blue, below I or L.
Because we have one paragraph, our ordinance that says personal private tower, and then beneath it is personal wireless service facility.
Or the PW.
Are they, is that the same?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Let me Google it.
Television signal reception, temperature radio stations. This is such an old language.
Yeah, because I think there's,
CD radio.
they're talking about two different things, though. I mean, like a radio station is not really considered, a private personal wireless, commercial, right? Like commercial mobile, maybe like T-Mobile, right? It's commercial service provider versus a radio station. They both use antennas. I don't really think that they're apples to apples.
Oh, they're not.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think that's why it's trying to, the personal wireless service, personal wireless services means commercial mobile services, unlicensed wireless services, a common carrier, wireless exchange access services within the meaning of, of course, using the 47 state statute there, and as defined. And then personal private tower means a freestanding tower, vertical structure that may not have various attachment to. So there's not here to see it. Maybe we won't see them, but I know there are hobbyists that do have
Right.
towers, personal towers that
Actually, for shortwave radio.
and that sort of stuff, right? So I think
Oh,
maybe that's what the
Oh.
difference is between both of those.
I think
So
you're
one
right.
specifically says tower, and the other one is a wireless
Facility.
provider in a sense.
Okay, so maybe then the word private should stay.
I think so.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's
because then
why it's
it,
there.
it's gonna differentiate then, right? So talk about actual tower, not actually like what you do.
Because some nowadays, like, somebody can have like a podcast.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Those are all wired.
Don't you?
Oh, I got two. And then from my office, and here we are. In Spanish, and then on Sundays on Spanish, Sundays on Spanish. On AM radio.
Oh, here we go. So personal tower and personal wireless service facility are not the same. Personal wireless service facility is a broader term that refers to any facility used to transmitting or receiving personal wireless services as defined by
To
the
a person.
tele-
To a person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Person to person.
This includes cell phone towers, microwave towers, and other structures. Personal tower is a more specific term that might refer to a tower used for personal use, such as a private wind tower, a solar panel installation. The key difference is that PWSFs are part of a broader telecommunications
In
infrastructure.
this case, for the
This
whole
is
town.
actually good, maybe we should.
We should put it,
include
we
that.
should put it in the definition so that we don't have that confusion in the future.
I'm taking it.
All right.
Cut and paste.
I like it.
See, like going through the black and the red, because the blue is out of my blue.
Your wheelhouse. This
Fancy
case,
words.
that's another one.
Fancy words.
I got a question now. I look at this and now I have a couple of things. One is, I know Messia is a historic town, and I understand, you guys is outlook at cell towers and having to live next to them. the potential health hazards, even though, FCC.
Yeah.
Says there.
If it meets the standard.
They say that this is good too, and look at it now, they're not all, right?
Right.
And you've got your
Plastic.
cell phone right.
Or
under your-
so much stuff, right? So obviously, there's a little bit of hesitation there, but, just to make it clear that we still gotta serve and make sure these residents have good
Right.
services.
Service, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Not so much to try to exclude a company or even a structure,
I think
it's just,
that's what you were
if
getting
there are
at.
better
Yeah.
means of serving our community, why are we allowing something so visual
Yeah.
rather than? So I guess just to kind of want to make sure on record that that's not what this commission is trying to do, is to avoid the service. It's just that we're just trying to make
Yeah,
sure that
because we
they
can't
do the best they
legally.
can with providing service to the community.
Good point.
We did
Yeah,
have
I think that's what I was trying to get at, just like how I phrase this, right, without trying to, but yeah, because I take into consideration, right, the opinions of like the town and everything.
We all have one of these.
Yeah,
so,
like we
you know.
all
Yeah.
have one, right? So it's like that's kind of where I was coming from, where I was like, if we make it harder, like, is this going to impact people? But then if we're trying to accurately regulate it so that what happened doesn't happen again, right? Like, in all fairness.
I like the idea that, I overlooked this, this is my first case when I started here. And it's overwhelming, right? It's so much stuff, but I definitely, and it was in our ordinance that, they're required to give a percentage of their project for consultation purposes, right?
Yeah.
And I love the idea that, because they come well with that, how can you argue with that if you just, I just
You don't
punched
know.
in and I got
Yeah.
my little book here, it makes you seem like,
And they,
so it's good to
They
have.
take advantage of it.
And not just with that, not just cell towers, we're not discriminating against business, we
No.
do that with subdividers, we do that with engineers, with, anything like that, that we have our own experts, right? So I think that's, just want to be clear about.
And another thing to look at is like, so, okay, we're a historic town, but we don't have a major hospital. We don't have like these,
That requires a lot.
that requires a lot of Wi-Fi, so
Yeah,
that's something else we
For safety
consider.
reasons. Yeah.
I guess that's what happened in Durango, is they didn't want a cell tower, and then their hospital needed more Jews.
Got it.
But
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think we're in that situation.
I think I just remember being a part of those meetings, and I think I had said this before, but the end conclusion was because we needed 911 services. And the argument was that it was diminished, the services were diminished as you go outside the perimeter
Right.
of the city proper.
Right.
So what we did with the current owners is that we tried to compromise with them. I know the ordinance, the code says only so much setback, and we were just trying to work with them to set it back further, and they did not want to do it. They just did not want to compromise. So it just made it difficult. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
but
So
they
it
were
doesn't
also
happen again.
dishonest when they said putting that cell tower right by the community public service building, because actually there was kind of a void when you're very close.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
So,
I think it's
Broadcast
hard
it
enough as
out.
it is, we live in a historic town, a lot of these homes are open, they're
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
wide,
Yeah.
right? You can put one right on top of your roof, it probably won't get service. right?
You
Exactly.
gotta walk outside.
If there's
Yeah.
not
Exactly.
another mentality,
That's what we do.
Maybe the smaller, throughout the telephone poles were, maybe that.
Yeah, 'cause I had to,
It's just almost like trying to get cell tower 3 feet on the ground. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
We were just trying to ask for additional trees to be removed.
Yeah,
And they would not budge.
Yeah, trees not.
yeah.
Looking at this though, the only concern really that I have is, and I talked to Mr. Walkinshaw about this, is when it comes to liability and legality part of it, this is a little, I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that we're it's another small town, right?
Yeah, right.
So when I go through all this, I ask myself, okay, where in the sea can I put a cell tower?
Nowhere.
You're not good
And that is what I mean, that is exactly what I mean, so whenever you go to court.
Legally,
these
you
big-
can't do that.
These big people, exactly,
Yeah.
these big people with all this money, they're going to court. If they intentionally were an ordinance where we are nowhere considered to have a cell tower, and therefore they can go back and say it's discrimination or whatever. That's something we really gotta be careful with, right?
Yeah.
So and especially in the public setting where we say, well, we don't want them coming in. We just want to minimize the visual,
Visual.
eyesore,
Yeah.
and you know, the possibility of maybe the health risk, that even though the FCC has approved it. But we still want to make sure that all these communication companies come in and give us the best service
At the best location.
that fits the top.
Right. No,
Preserve our
that's-
corridors.
That's exactly right.
So that's my, I think it's very, very well written, but if it does go without me, I don't know where that's going to stand.
Yeah.
That's,
That's the risk.
In order to articulate, they put something down that it's impossible to set. Beat all of it.
In that
So that's
video,
something
yeah,
that they.
in that video from the lawyer, he's real clear about the different cases
Yeah.
and what you can or can't do
Mm-hmm.
as far as the town. He's just given more authority to the town, but you can't eliminate it. You
Yeah.
prohibit it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to
Like
prove,
cannabis.
exactly,
Kind of like
exactly.
cannabis, when they
Yeah.
first came out, everybody.
Yeah,
was like,
everybody-
"Oh, you can't have it in here, you can't have it in here."
Yeah.
All the regulations, and they came back and they
Yeah.
pushed, and then we got it.
Yeah.
And that's why the ordinance started easing up. a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
I was at
Oh.
when it first came out.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, when I first came out, I gave like 9 business licenses for I was so much trouble. What are you doing? I'm like, it's a retail store. We don't have an ordinance to say that
It's
we
the
can't.
other
No,
one.
we don't. Yeah, when we say no, they started like, I cannot get into that. Even though I don't agree or do agree, that's their lifestyle, and the law says it's legal.
And look what happened, we found attrition, right? You saw one of the businesses fall.
Yeah,
So-
the cash.
It depends on the matter.
Yeah, and then everybody's gonna jump on the
Because
back.
it does say at the
Eventually,
end
they
here,
put down the
either
smaller ones, then
for
we're-
private
they end
or
up with, like,
commercial.
we
So
have
they
to
make
cut down
the
the-
distinction between
You know,
Like
private.
the STRs, the market will decide.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
one here,
yeah,
I
I
think
see
that's just my only concern.
Um,
It's just, but then the legality, they go over to look
Maybe
at
it should be
attorney.
private, personal, or commercial.
Yeah, that's right. You got to look at that.
Yeah, I did want, you talked about corridors and,
That's corridors.
and on page 13,
Oh, I'm at 25 minutes.
I'm trying-
Come on,
I'm
Aaron.
backing up. Gotta get out of here.
No,
Um,
I've been good.
It does show that we don't have any view corridors defined
Yes, correct.
We,
at all.
later in the ordinance, we did define them.
Yeah, you did it, but you said, well, let's get to
Yes,
that.
actually, you did.
Oh, here it is. It's on page
Where was
17.
it?
17, you do say, well, not just you.
M,
Yeah,
It's in, and you added to it, you
Oh.
said P, or M, yeah.
yeah.
View corridors, no wireless communication tower or facility is allowed within like 1,320, a quarter mile of
That's the biggest
the
mistake.
outside edge of right of ways, any designated, well, we don't have designated. That's the
Oh.
problem.
So then we would have to designate it.
We'd have, and I think it needs to be more than just to include,
but not.
but
Yeah,
not
there's-
limited to the Butterfield Trail. That's not really well.
Yeah, it's gotta be from this corner. to
The
the
parks are,
Then add my house.
Yeah. Asha's houses.
so is,
Why not?
it's hard to define a view corridor in town. I mean, we talk about the Butterfield, we talk about, so you can see the Oregon Mountains,
Right.
but it doesn't address the situation you have down Estrada.
Right.
Because I'm thinking to be really add on more is to the view corridor should be the road corridors.
Yeah.
In other words, that's where you can really see. Well, that's why you can see the tower where they're going to install it.
Yeah.
Because if they just tweaked it a little bit, you wouldn't have to see it all the time when you're driving down that road.
So
So
we're just asking for compromise.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a
so
good point, because
Roadways,
in our
Well-
resolution, in our current.
can you
code,
add that? Would
that's-
that be too broad?
right.
Can we just add roadways?
No, it actually, in our current code, it has to be adopted, view corridors, and it has to have a resolution, it has to be passed designating them.
Yeah.
It's in the 2017 comprehensive plan. It designates like view of the Oregon Mountains, right, for example.
Gotcha.
But
That's
it doesn't say Picacho, it says
Yeah.
Oregon Mountains.
But we can add that to.
Very limited.
See what.
But it's only a plan, it's not codified.
Exactly, that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
so a lot of the the ex-commissioner, maybe even some of the ex-trustees, they think because it's a comprehensive plan, that's law, that's not law,
Yeah.
that is what people want you to do.
Recommendation.
So yeah, that's a very good point, in 2017, maybe we can use some of the corridors and propose propose a resolution.
Yeah.
To the
So
board to
expand.
Designate what is
What
considered.
exactly?
So
you
given,
want
given the situation, then why should we even have something here about view corridors if we don't have it?
So
But
they
it's
want to come back.
here, like, why,
So
why
you
is it here in
create
the
that.
first place?
Well, we could come back later on and do that modification.
You
once
can
we have
use that as
Yeah.
an
Yet to be
excuse to
determined.
push them back. You know, how many feet are we, 1,350 feet back?
I think it's 1,600 now.
16, yeah,
Which is
whatever that,
with
whatever we
1320 on
need
this.
to muscle up to
Yeah.
push the tower back.
Where it is.
I think it's hard, I think it's hard to come up with an actual
Yeah.
number. I think it's, the intent is, I don't wanna see it. That's pretty much it. I think so. I
Yeah.
think if you really did strategically put the, or adopt these new corridors, where you don't wanna see them, or you want it to be a burden, then I think that's, it's easier to manage
16
than
somewhere else.
put a number.
So-
Because another, my other thing, is we have so many
Somewhere else.
non-conforming properties out there,
Yeah.
that you can't do anything. Maybe we put a cell tower on it.
Right.
Maybe we
Unless
pay some
someone's,
kind of-
Another
unless
place
someone's
that's
willing to
like
give up their
16
cornfield
or
and the
something.
trees, that's the only way I guess.
So
Yeah.
that's what that was about.
And that's not for you, it's,
Yeah.
people can come a bit money, they can be
Yeah.
persuasive.
Yeah.
So did you say when they didn't want to remove trees, was that the farmer? Or the
Yeah.
town, or the south?
The farmers.
Because he's willing to move, I think at
Because
first
he
it
had
was
a
just
dead
one,
tree
then
or
it went to
two.
five,
And
and after that, it's like,
fires,
no, I'm
and
not
no
doing it.
more.
Yeah.
Well, those cities, I mean, they're kids, are they good, take care of them.
Yeah.
Just transplant them. Like, you could save those trees, but you don't want to compromise.
Yeah.
So,
You know, one other thing I wanted to mention is that, so this document is created by a lawyer, and who's gonna be reading it is the legal department of the service providers. And
Oh.
like, in the case of Verizon, they have a office building downtown Denver, full of lawyers that only deal with small towns. So that's what we're up against.
Yeah.
So that's why this is so detailed and strict,
That makes sense.
because they're the ones that are gonna be reading it and saying like, this is not gonna be easy. So anyway,
But it'd be their choice as to whether they want
But
to
you
come
still
in.
gotta be doable. Well,
Yeah, it's gotta be doable,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
That's the fine
More
line.
hoops, right?
Hey,
That's what I'm saying, we should charge a pocket. I think maybe we should say, no, a cell tower facilities, whatever, there's a $5,000 business.
Yeah, there was that piece where it says
Something
it only,
that's gonna,
it only charges like 500 or something, and it said on the notes it was too low. So then what's the higher number
Yeah.
that we look like?
5,000 still is like,
It's kind of
you know,
wise,
Move the
I think if
decimal.
you violate this code, section of the code, it's like $25. Like $2,500,
Yeah, that
and
needs
it's like,
to.
Yeah, who cares?
that needs to be-
Okay.
you know what I mean? That's like a drop in the bucket or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely, I mean, I think this is a good, I don't wanna take anything away from it, other than just, maybe the special use permit, leave it alive.
Right.
Okay.
Term, and then, just be conscious that, it's gotta be doable.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I did have a question
are
about,
you talking about, excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
35 where it talks about special use permit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it.
What
It's-
page?
that's
page
what-
35,
35.
Because I see it on
Page
27.
27.
Yeah, up there,
Yeah,
it's kinda
page
blank.
27.
with question
Oh,
marks
yeah.
behind it.
Special use permit skill, activities of use shall
Yeah, yeah.
identify all. Notifications.
So what should go in there, Eddie?
Oh, 35 is what you're
Yeah.
saying. There's a blank here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause typically, it's they falls under a business, it's $25. Right? Plus the special use permit is not a yearly thing, it's just a process. And just-
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what should go in there.
Yeah,
That's a good
okay.
question, yeah.
Special use permit and scale site plan. Special use permit shall identify all regulations, all, indicate the location type and type of, site plan use.
So,
All requirements.
Oh,
Was that one left there a blank for read from the other ordinances that you were trying to remember? Why is this blank?
you know,
Because that's
do you
our,
still have that document you gave me? The
Original?
original
Original,
document?
yeah.
Let's take a look.
That's in our code, right?
Yeah, that's in our code.
That's
Yeah.
black.
So what
so we must have said something.
other crickets?
Watch your language.
In the summer, it's like freezing.
Special use
Yeah, I
permits,
believe it.
1854-70.
It's such a waste of energy.
54.
Yeah, here it is. Why did I leave that?
What's it say?
1F. A special use permit. The pagination is different.
All documentation,
Under P, number 1.
I think that should be documentation.
works.
Including blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
blah.
indicating.
Oh, P, okay, hold
It's
on.
P1, I think.
Oh
Well,
my
you changed it. It
goodness.
was B1 on the old
Yeah, it would be B on that.
B1.
Oh.
B1.
Help me here.
On top of
54.
B, so here is B,
Number 1.
B. This is not the
It's just
same.
that it would
It's
have
on the-
been
it's on the backside.
B,
Should be
and
1.
now it's P because they
Oh.
added some.
That's all new stuff.
Oh, yeah. So where's
So I'm
the,
just trying to locate this
Yeah.
here
Oh.
to see.
is this the original?
Yeah, this is the.
Oh, okay.
So it's,
So
it is-
should be P1.
oh, 90, that's, it should be in the 70, so this is 70. A special, there is 70B,
Number 1. There it is. Oh,
no. 1A, that's totally different. Scaled site.
oh, yeah, it says indicated locations, type of height. It's the same as that.
So maybe the
So it
yellow
starts
is,
out a scaled site plan, clearly indicating.
which is clearly is out, because that's silly.
Yeah.
That's off. Something's wrong.
Okay.
Just do plans, all plans.
All documents, I like that word.
Yeah.
All documentation.
All requirements.
Indicate location, types, right?
Well, this
Yeah,
shows.
it's a general term and then they break it down and it just
Right.
kind of sounds like they just need some, whatever they need, like evidence or whatever.
So 40 dots.
Yeah, I like that too.
Okay, so this
We
is
have a-
the same, this is the same.
Still trying to find what it
What it
says.
was
I'm trying
before.
to find here what it used to say.
So it should be this one, but it's totally different.
Okay.
So,
We could just propose
You'll
that
look into
to, our fellow
So everybody
trustees,
thinks-
right?
Supporting
Document,
documents.
Supporting document?
Including.
Yeah.
Okay, dot, dot, dot.
Lori's gonna kill me going back to page 23.
No, no,
But
I just was,
I just have a question on the chart.
yeah, yeah,
What
well,
page
that's
mean?
23.
Page 23, it's 1854060 heights requirements in different codes. And so my assumption is, that's where it shows 1,320 feet.
That's 1520.
oh,
But, so in C, and I'm wondering why we reduced the height. In some places, we say height 75 feet. This place, we
Oh.
say height 65 for a single user. Remember, they're over there, they want to put it a little bit higher
yeah,
because they wanted to add another user.
yeah,
Rather than, and we say, we'd like you to cohabitate,
yeah.
if you can.
Oh,
But I'm wondering why we crossed out 75 feet and 100 feet where,
Because that's our wishful thinking.
oh,
Mhm. That's the right answer.
you're honest about
Dang,
it.
she isn't honest.
Yeah, because on the next page, page 24, height restrictions, number 2. Well, number 1's for the small wireless. I understand that. For non-small wireless facilities, it says 75 feet.
Oh, yeah.
So there is a-
Yeah,
There's a bit of a,
If you need
Confusion
a
there.
65
Yeah, this
feet,
is
those
not
are-
perfect.
Good catch.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So you need a 65 feet, but they're not gonna be able to put multiple users on one
I
tower.
don't think so. Yeah.
So that's gonna force us to put more towers If
Or
or so whatever.
cohabitate and go a little bit higher.
So 75 is right now, that's the number.
Yeah, but supposing that you want to start it off.
And,
Up to 3 users.
Because over here it says 65,
and
in red over
Langley,
75.
Langley had 75. But we have issues when it comes to Verizon.
And then it just goes by height, so the higher the tower,
The more anchor work carriers you can put.
And I
Yeah.
think,
And it goes further.
right, and I think when you get to the setbacks, there's a little bit confusion in my mind, at least, that we say, it was in the original one, if it's 65 feet, then you can go 10% higher,
Mhm.
and that's 10% of 65 feet. It's not much. It doesn't really put you back very far. Yet we're saying in other places, well, if it's 75 feet someplace in the original one, we say if it's 75 feet, then it has to be 20% back further from the property line,
depending on the height.
depending on the height. But yet in some places, we're saying from residential areas, it needs to be 320 feet back. So I'm trying to figure out 1,300. So I'm trying to figure out, well, what are we trying to say here as far as, or maybe it's just my confusion about.
No, I think we didn't work this through entirely,
Okay.
because we have personal feelings involved.
It's hard to step away from that.
Which is one of the reasons why you took it out. We still appreciate it. We just gotta make sure that legally that we're gonna be able to.
I know.
It agrees with, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So these R1, R8 the first line needs to go up to 75 feet? Change to 75 feet if that's what it says over here?
yeah,
I'm just worried about the 65 foot limitation, because then I think that
might not be high
does create
enough.
a problem where we'll have eventually need more towers. I don't think we want to be there.
Right, no.
I mean, if Langley's had 75 feet, then that's vetted, then probably that's the way to go.
These are great recommendations.
Yeah, I don't know about 4 or more
I
though,
agree.
because 4, I don't even think they even do that anymore. They put 4 carriers on one tower.
I've seen some towers in town that's got a
I
lot
don't
of,
even
They have
think it
like
should be
a lot of
five.
carriers.
Yeah,
Remember, at 4 Points, we added another panel on one of those towers. And there's like 2 really close together there. And they're not very high.
I
But
don't care what the science says. If you have four providers on one tower, I'm not sleeping underneath that
I
they catch fire.
It's
You
not
know,
gonna
what's
do
weird, I never thought about is the ice that they can collect and the dangers that they can create.
that's true.
with ice, because they get icy, like, and
Yeah.
it obviously thaws up.
Yeah.
Like, that's on here too, and that's. the
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, and this last one that we had approved, I think there's supposed to be an external structure, so no one can jump over.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Safety.
I
Okay.
think they were planning on putting up to 5 on the tower that they want to build. I'm still in denial.
This one here?
So,
Yeah,
Oh, really?
didn't they want
I
like up
remember
to
that.
5?
Oh, they only applied for 1 carrier. And that's when he knew he made a mistake, when he said, oh, well, typically
He
in
wanted
the
to add-
industry, 1 anchor,
Yeah.
solidifies the tower and then we add to it, like, no, you only.
Apply for
But I think-
One,
At some point, remember, he went from 65, which is what we had, to 75 because he wanted to put another
exactly.
provider up there or
Did
have
he
an
get that?
But
opportunity.
then he didn't, no, he only got the single tower.
Oh, but the 65? Oh,
it's still
okay.
at 65, okay, because I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
too that it was gonna be 75
Yeah, that's what I
because of
thought.
the additional.
Yeah.
I have to double check, but no, I know he applied for single use,
Yeah, in the original.
and two single users only 75. And he tried to change it there to me, he blamed me, oh, I was like, nah. You apply only for one. I don't
We're
know
just
how your tower
addressing what
works.
you-
You only apply for one. Because he was trying to keep it there for the setback, and he was trying to make it taller, but not move it any further. Like, no, if you move it, now it's gonna have to be further back, right?
That's
Yeah.
oh my God.
Okay, so this
Okay. that
height
puts-
placement, this needs work.
I think it should stay, the 75, I think honestly should stay there.
Okay.
My opinion, only so that
But we won't go any
so we
higher.
won't have to build more towers or have more. But the 100-foot one, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's too much.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I do not see that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be eyesore if it's like.
Yeah.
No, that's gotta be, no matter where you turn, you're.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think we should do that one, just scratch that one.
You could see it from Avenida Venecia.
Yeah.
And anything that
See
matches
it
with
from
that.
like anywhere.
From Maine.
Yeah.
From Maine
Yeah.
to California.
Yeah, on page, you're talking about lighting and what have you, it's,
So on 75, we're taking the 65
Yeah.
out too.
but we're not going to, okay.
No,
So is that gonna be changed throughout the thing to 75, wherever it says 65, 75?
should be,
Okay.
that's our recommendation.
But I'd like to go back, and I can't find it yet, maybe you could tell me what it is. We still have, as far as height, we still have a 10% and a 20%, depending on the height and the setback.
Oh,
So I think, where's
Right
the,
there,
where's the
will be
setback?
located in an adjacent district which permits residential use or residential structures located, the tower shall also be back from the nearest residential use the same or an adjacent parcel a distance 20% greater than the total height.
So I guess my question is,
10%.
Oh.
which page is that?
Right on 24.
25.
Okay.
That's on 25, and the 10% that you're talking about, structure shall
Oh,
be
okay.
back from the adjoining property line, from
10%.
blah, 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 and 10% from the height of the structure.
But so when do you get to the fact that it needs to be 1,300 feet from?
That's when you look at view corridors.
Yeah.
That's, our code says it's 1660, 1620, something like that. And all they're changing, that has not to do with the setback, that has to do
From
from,
house.
historic district, it needs to be
Right.
660 feet.
Yeah, right.
They're proposing 1,300 something,
20,
right?
yeah.
From the, which is fine, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know, how that number came about, but that's how they had, I think there has to be something behind that to come up with that specific.
I think that's from the physician's report, and their number was 1,600 something.
Oh, that's the 1650.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm a little confused about that.
Yeah, I didn't challenge it, because that number had to come from somewhere, because, yeah, they
Yeah.
just don't come up with like,
Arbitrary.
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
number.
not. Oh, and then there's the environmental report, which is also in that list.
Right.
And, you know, they were the ones saying a quarter mile
Okay.
from people,
From houses.
houses, yeah, or businesses.
So it's 13.
so yeah, I think that answers your
That is.
question.
Well-
That's the number, 13.
But then the,
I still it didn't answer my question, because how's that any different than where the new tower is gonna go? And now it's a percentage setback from, remember, we tried to get a couple hundred feet?
Yeah,
We tried to
I
get
do.
300, 400 feet.
that was crazy, but.
And so it's still at that 10% and the 20%, depending on the height. And that's from residential area.
The
Yeah.
difference between those two is the 10% and the 20% is more for a
For fall.
structural safety.
Oh, okay, from the
It's
fall hazard
It's not for view. Now, the 660,
is for,
that's what we're trying to increase, that's more for, view corridors, eyesores.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why they elected to compromise and come
Right.
up with the water tower to eliminate some of that eyesore.
Yeah. And
Which I thought was
the 1,600
That was one of our
is,
conditions. Remember?
the 1,600 is to protect from the electromagnetic emissions,
yeah.
whatever.
emissions, Yeah.
Yeah, EMF.
Yeah, but you can't really
UMS.
word it that way because there is
Yeah.
specific language
Yeah.
in the FCC that says you cannot discriminate
Yeah.
against a cell tower
Based on health.
that health
Yeah.
because it's
Because they're already meeting the standard. Yeah.
So the FCC rules on that.
And
Yes.
light up a cigarette while you're at it.
While you're worried about your health.
Yeah. Have some McDonald's.
Yeah, I remember getting spoiled by all that. Because you can only do so much. You can't say no.
Yeah, it's gotta
Yeah.
be. I mean, it's gotta be just as strict. I think this is good. But I'm not an attorney. We have to
And then
find out.
overwhelmingly from there on in, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
blue.
I had no comments there.
Because those out of your bailiwick.
But I would recommend you guys seeing the video from the lawyer. It's really interesting.
Is that an
And,
email you sent out today?
Yeah.
No,
I
that
just-
was about that. When they're,
Well, no, you sent it to me. No, you sent it.
Yeah.
You said it.
Yeah,
I
I
sent
didn't,
it to
and I
you
sent it to
way
you guys
while
right
back.
away, like today. So
Yeah,
you got yours about half an hour before the meeting. Because I couldn't remember your first name. You just said Commissioner Paz. I'm going, what's your first name? Darn.
Maybe on the side note, do we know when the changes to our official email address?
Oh, yeah, that's a
Oh,
good
yeah.
question.
She actually
So I'm using the
mentioned
old
that
ones
she
now.
was already creating the emails, but she said officially it's going to be. What did she say?
Sooner or later.
No, real soon, like
Sooner.
within a week.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
And we'll have to have new passwords or?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason why they're doing that is because they want to make it position specific and not.
No, you don't have to keep changing it.
Yeah, whatever means that.
That makes sense.
Like, I didn't like
Makes sense.
even my own personal emails. I don't
My
like.
Right.
neighbors.
What if you're just like a regular commissioner, like you don't have a special?
Commissioner 1, 2.
Yeah, that's not what we're trying to figure out. Like, how do we get like, even the alternates? It's like, why do we?
A1,
They don't
A2.
like- they don't
A1,
make
A2.
proxies, we get them.
Yeah.
Because she has a title, he has a title. I don't know.
I don't know. You don't have a title by choice. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
You sit
exactly.
way down
We
at the
tried
end
to,
and go
we
like
tried to
this.
convince you. We might try
But
to do it
the whole
again.
senior will probably get it.
Oh, sure, yeah, works. Okay. No, I just.
All right.
Well, Dasha, your presence here was invaluable.
Oh, thank you. And
Or at
thank
least
you
very-
for,
Yes.
And I think it's best by since
This is really good.
you already started working on this, and just make the change.
I didn't
I don't
have
want to hack it up and then
Yeah, I just
go
told
back
back
on.
on.
Changes.
and like I said, you know, what we did is not a finished, polished product. There's still things that need to be decided.
Okay.
But
Gotta have something to start.
yeah, we just thought it was more important to give it to the town now because of the timing. We could have spent another $100, you know.
We're running out of time.
Take more aspirin and
Yeah.
other drugs.
Yeah.
We're doing. So let's talk about Monday, because Monday is going to be the work, or not the work session, the hearing.
Okay.
So, and then after the hearing, and I'd like to, I think, invite you to probably get up first after you're
Okay.
sworn in. The rest of the people that want to comment on it get sworn in to kind of give the background, a little bit of background.
Yeah,
Like what you
happy to
did
do
tonight.
And so, and then I think it's gonna be, Eddie, probably it's gonna be, after where our regular meeting, it's gonna be on the agenda to vote on it, or if we're not
Repeal it.
really comfortable, or it could be on for more discussion, but I'm kind of wondering about, what are we gonna get from the public? Because a lot of people aren't gonna read all this.
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't wish it on them.
They don't read it. I mean, unfortunately, that's just how it's gonna go. If there's no
Yeah.
extra comment on it, then
We would vote on
we'll
it,
vote on it.
and then it
Well,
goes
what
to
if
the
the
BOT.
commissioners that aren't here say, you know, I'm just not ready to vote
Yeah.
on this?
Well, that's
Well,
their
then
choice.
That's their prerogative, right? But
Yeah.
they, for some reason, unfortunately, you know, they weren't here. But they got the emails and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so they can always review it and come up with those concerns.
That's right.
And I sent
again,
down
we're still
that
gonna have a
information
hearing,
that you
you
gave
know,
me.
it's gonna be
Right.
discussed just like it is
Okay.
now. It's just, want to make sure we answer any questions now or concerns more than anything that you might have with this ordinance besides of what we. Because I think, like I said, I think just for those small changes that.
We're pretty close.
I think it's, again, it's not gonna be perfect, you know, we gotta get it in place.
No, Mark.
And then, it's gonna be definitely much better than what we had,
That's right.
you know, so.
I just don't want the board of trustees to say, why did the PNZ miss this? Or why did that? I get so
I
tired.
know.
Not in public, at least, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want me to make these changes that you guys brought up? Okay.
Yes, please, and then bring it when we come to the hearing, and then again, you know, if you feel like we're being rushed, not trying to say it needs to be.
Yeah.
Then we can always say, you know what, somebody can make a motion and then we'll postpone it, and.
Yeah.
You just realize that we're gonna be having a lot of work sessions because,
Yeah.
there's still more other ordinance that we.
Yeah, they're in line.
And this
And
is,
I apologize for that, the mayor did kind of wanna get, it's just so many things that you just wanna get it done, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we don't wanna keep asking you folks to keep coming back, so we just try to kill 2-3 birds with one stone.
Yeah, right.
It's a little overwhelming, I think.
Well, I appreciate
especially with
that.
this-
I appreciate that.
My only thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Briefly are that, you know, the permit that was issued for the current tower.
One that is actually now active.
It expires
Sort of.
after 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got some really short window here to make some changes.
that's right.
Yeah. And do we
And
have any language on here? I remember reading about an active permit after it expires, what,
That we can change. Oh, go ahead.
do they have to reapply?
I think that's in the shot clock, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where
Because I know
that,
Mesilla is for our zoning permit, they have an opportunity to extend it for an additional 6 months,
Hmm.
right? With
Mm,
half the price, obviously, of the permit. But what doesn't state specifically that we're gonna honor the original
That's what
requirements
I was getting. to.
than the.
That'd be
up to
interesting.
the- I think if it's gonna be a
Right.
extension, then it's gotta honor whatever is in place.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we're
Ooh,
talking
yeah,
about, getting
that'll
it
be-
in place before.
We're running out of time.
That'd be
we
interesting.
did put that in, again, possibly wishful thinking,
Yeah.
but we took out that language that said, they're grandfathered in,
Right.
and that they're now subject to the new ordinance.
Whoa.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, that'd be-
that could make a difference possibly in our lives.
And that's why I made a comment that on their end, and they expect that their shot clock is paused due to
Yeah.
FCC regulations or any,
Any
or
excuse.
anything.
Yeah.
They can't leave us in the dark. They gotta say, hey, according to what we're doing, we're working on, we're advising
This is-
that, shot clock. But if we don't know, and they come back and wanna build it, what are you gonna do? Right? So,
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be curious.
Yeah.
because they gotta be approved, pause, you just can't, because they feel like.
Time out here. Sure.
This was a good work session.
Good,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you guys for showing up.
And everyone for coming. Yeah, I wish it was this back when I go.
Didn't hear a thing.
Really good work.
Oh, I mean, yeah, sometimes it's brutal.
Oh, Eddie, this is kind of separate from the meeting. Yeah, go ahead and turn it off.
This meeting
Is adjourned.